This is my black book now. Actually, no. We'll get into it in the episode. The black book. The
About
big
your
black
book?
book. Yeah. That I'm not using. It's just my phone's hidden behind it. with my stuff. Right, we're going. What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Big News Podcast with me, your host, Paul Hughes. Today is our first episode. It's a big one. We had to bring in the big hitters, the big boys. You know what I'm saying? But today's guest is the host of the Tea With Me podcast. He is also the host of the Lazy Boys podcast, which is a Patreon special with Mr. Mickey Bartlett, Mr. William Thompson. He is also on the Full House tour, world tour, may I say, not NI, not UK, world tour. He is also the beholder of one of the best left hooks on the island. Our guest today, ladies and gentlemen, give it up, Mr. Shane Todd.
2-0. 2-0.
2-0. Undefeated in the streets.
Undefeated.
You actually are undefeated on the streets, which is unbelievable.
Yeah. I haven't had a fight in the streets, but I'm undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought that the last comedian's boxing was a wee bit of a stitch up.
In what way?
I think you chose your opponent. Why is
He is the hardest guy I could have fought.
I don't know.
By far.
You could have fought your man. Do you know why I think it was a stitch up? I think there were some things going on behind the scenes. There was a couple of matchups that were total mismatches.
What is this?
I don't know. I brought you in here to bring it back to the comedian's boxing.
You sent me that. This is like meeting the principal.
Right, hold on. You could
Anything you
have
wanna tell me?
you could have had a harder matchup.
I couldn't.
No, you could.
For my weight?
What about your man that Colin Geddes got matched up with? Why don't you fight him?
Because he's heavyweight.
But here.
No, I took the tough fight. People were saying, that's what people were saying about me. They're going, he's going for the easy fight. Fighting journeyman. I said, you give me the hardest fight possible. And now I was one that could have gone anyway.
You talked to the matchmaker yourself?
I am the matchmaker.
That's what I'm saying. But anyway, Mr. Shane Todd.
Thanks for having me.
We're here. Well, it's my pleasure. As I said, we had to bring the heavies on for the first episode. I just actually get into the studio. This is my first time seeing it all fully set up. So shout out to Roscoe and Justin. I'm absolutely over the moon with this. This is so good.
I'm beyond jealous because you've started with a setup like this.
Yeah.
If you had seen the first podcast setups I had for years, you don't know how lucky you are. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, it is.
The shitholes I've been in.
Where did you start? I remember seeing you doing one in like a bar with Sean McComb one time.
Yeah,
but that was like recently-ish. Where did you start doing?
We were in between studios there, and Limelight let us film. But I used to do a podcast called Boytown with Dave Elliott. That was the first regular podcast I did, and we used to do it in his spare room in his house in Sydenham. And like it was just one camera. It was like a GoPro. I would set it up. I would edit the podcast. The sound was. It was, and I'm not technically minded at all. Like I studied all this stuff, like went to college to do it, further education, but I had no concept of how to do it. So it was like put a recorder, you know, like if you were doing like a police interview or something, we just put that in the middle of us, and that was it. And
so
it took
like
us
one
so long
mic,
to edit.
and you would be like
one mic, one camera.
You'd be like on the table, like kind of just reaching over to speak into the mic.
Yeah.
How many years ago was that?
Yeah. Maybe 10 years ago now, something
10?
like that. Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I actually didn't even know
And
that
then
people were podcasting back then.
Even the first studios that we had were just awful.
Uh-huh.
And we, like you were embarrassed to bring somebody to it.
Really?
Because the first one we had in Hollywood was you had to go round the back of a restaurant, up their fire exit, and walk over the roof. I'm not making this up. Walk over the roof of the restaurant because it had been a shop beforehand and it sat empty for like 15 years. And then the landlord heard people were looking for a space for a podcast, and it was like 120 quid per month. So it was like great deal, bang in the middle of Hollywood High Street. But you had to go through like Squid Games to get into it. You know, like, boys would die, like like so many people fell off the roof and died.
You actually got a prize just making it to the podcast room.
Yeah, big shithole. So this is unbelievable.
Mate, I'm very, very lucky. Look, if you're gonna do it, you got to do it right.
You're right.
You know, and that's why, as I say, we brought on the heavies for the first episode.
Yep.
So I have to ask you. I see the t-shirt you're wearing. So tease up mine. Oh,
Is this what I'm wearing?
Accidentally, of course, wore this today. Just took his hoodie off just before he sat down. But I have to ask you, you're on a world tour right now.
Yep.
And as I said in the intro, not an NI tour, not a UK tour, a world tour, which is like unbelievably impressive. Like actually inspiring for me.
It's a bit misleading because like
No, but
the Ireland and UK shows big size venues. The things that make it a world tour are like the Europe shows, the America shows. We're not talking the scale of the shows
But
here.
you're still doing shows
I'm still
everywhere.
doing it.
Mate, I mean, to me, that's unbelievably impressive.
Yeah.
Is there, like, has there been any other NI comic that has ever done, like, world tours regularly?
Well, in terms of performing abroad, I think Colin Murphy would have been the first one to be doing festivals all over the world. Like, he was doing, like, Montreal Just for Laughs festival back in the day with all, like, the biggest name American comedians. And he's gigged all over the world. So he was probably the first one to be like international and doing gigs all over the place.
What did he get popular for? Was he in a was he?
He's been on TV. He was doing the panel on RTE. He was doing the panel on RTE.
Okay.
And just like a thoroughbred stand up, just known for stand up. So he's doing loads of stuff on RTE. He had programs on BBC. He was in a couple of movies, I think, as well.
What was his name again? Sorry,
Colin Murphy.
Colin Murphy. We
You would 1,000%
Colin Murphy, please.
to see.
We'll try out the TV for the first time.
So he did. When I was doing like my first gigs in the Empire and places like that, he was the regular MC. So when I did SSE at the end of last year, I asked him. I was like, is there any way you would come and do a spot beforehand? He did. He did 10 minutes and absolutely blew the roof off.
Really?
So that was very cool.
That's cool. So would he have been someone that you would have looked up to whenever you were coming up as a comic?
Yeah, because he was gigging in the because I'm a huge fan of like American stand-up. He's on tour at the minute as well. So I would have been a fan of American stand-up and stand-up from kind of fan of stand-up here and then stuff outside here. And he was the guy I knew that was doing the festivals, and he was over in England doing stuff and round the rest of Ireland. So yeah.
So there was some sort of blueprint there.
Yeah,
like, when you were watching someone like that.
In terms of putting on a tour, I don't know if I would have been probably maybe the first one to do the States and try and do a tour there. But it's something I'm happy to like build up. The numbers are very up and down, but I'm okay with that. Like, I'm more than happy to.
And
I'll go play to 30 people.
Are you finding now, like, when you're doing these dates, are you finding many, like, obviously there's going to be a lot of Irish abroad there. Are you finding many, like, Americans that are just going because they're Tea With Me fans? Or I'm not even, I'm being serious, like, because your podcast has now gone beyond here. Are you finding people, like, I seen somebody that I knew post from America, where was it? Are you doing a San Diego show? Yeah. Someone post from America that they're going to your San Diego show, posted on their story.
Oh, really?
I'm like, there you are.
Oh, that's great.
So you are going beyond here, which I find awesome.
It's about like the first times I did it, especially Australia was a big one I noticed. It was like 90% Irish.
Yeah.
And then the more you go back, that starts to balance out slightly. So it's maybe because the opening act, when you go out, you go, who's from home, give me a cheer. And it was always like everybody in the place. And then there'd be like 3 confused locals, like, I'm at the wrong show. But as time goes on, it's way more mixed. So especially Australia, and the last time I went to Australia, it was maybe 60-40 people from home versus people not from home.
Yeah.
So it does change.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Like, that's really, really good to see.
Because that's the
in
sign
Australia, like, the humour is like similar-ish
as
well.
Very, and there's like, it's Ireland basically. Like, you go over there, and like you see people after the show who want to wait and get a photo or say hello. And they see people they know from home that they didn't know were in Australia.
Yeah.
So it's like a big reunion type thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's always
That's
like
funny.
Good atmosphere.
My sister and her husband.
Yeah, I was chatting to them.
You were chatting to them in Sydney, right?
Yeah.
So funny. But here, the North American tour you've got coming up here at the minute, that I want to ask you about the mothership. So you're doing a date in Austin.
Yeah, doing
yourself.
Creek and Cave.
What date's that?
That's the 6th, I want to say. So Creek and Cave is
of March.
Yeah. And that's where Shane Gillis recorded his special live in Austin. Brilliant room. Did a spot there last time, like 5 minutes. Last time I was there. And my tour show was kind of like out of the city, like 10 miles out of the city. But when I was there, I was with my mate Niall, who was filming everything. And I was like, we wanted to go to the mothership. So for people who don't know, it's Joe Rogan's comedy club, which
it's like the
basic
Mecca.
Custom.
Now.
Yeah,
it's like the Mecca of comedy in the world. Like, that's where people are going to make it.
You pay, I don't know how much it is to the show. It's not dear. Like, the prices are actually like surprisingly unreal. And you could see 5 of the biggest comics on the planet just like dropping in. And also the mad thing is, if they're doing the big room, there's a big room and a small room. They might jump into the small room as well to do a spot there. It's like comedians who love stand up.
Yeah,
that's why they're so good. And we were there, and me and Niall wanted to go watch a show in the mothership. I was like, I'm not going to get a spot. I'm not going to ask for a spot, but I'd love to go and watch. Couldn't get tickets. Every single show sold out. So I hustled a bit and got the name of the booker. And I was like, I'm just going to fire a message on Instagram, see what the crack is. Fired a message. He didn't follow me. I was like, he's not going to see it. And then I think I woke up the next morning and I had a message overnight being like, yeah, come on down, do some spots. And I still remember like that feeling of like butterflies and like this is to even be in the room, never mind to be on.
How many years ago was this?
This was
that
last year or the year before. And the second thing is he was like, you can do tonight and then tomorrow night too. But I had my show that night and I worked out I would have been back in the city for like 10 p.m. And he's like, at 10 p.m. you can do a spot. I didn't want to cut a fine and not be on time. So I was like, I'll just do tomorrow night. And it was called Bottom of the Barrel. So you take out a suggestion from the audience and you have to do stand-up about that. So you don't do your set.
Mate, that's hard. Like
the
that
early
is
show,
nerve-wracking.
The early show, the nerves like kind of got the better of me. And then the late show, because I also had never done this kind of show. But I'm happy to riff and improv, but you can only do what this person has said. And a lot of the references were American things in their politics and culture. I might have got. And then late show was way better. But the maddest thing about it is, and the reason I loved it so much was every comedian, like sometimes you go places and you'd be, you know, a comedian from Ireland and you're like an outsider and you don't know people. It's very cliquey. You go places and the comedian, and this could be places like London or whatever, but the comedians sort of stick to themselves and they might say hello, but they also might not. I've gone to places in America as well where you walk into the green room and no one will say hello.
They'll not even say hello.
But that was the first club I'd been outside of home that I remember every act. Some of the biggest names in the world coming over, introducing themselves, where are you from, how long are you here, blah, blah, making small talk, every single one of them. So it was...
That's class.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And then I was like embarrassed after because I was like on my way out, I was like quickly and sneakily trying to like buy all the merch. I was like, I'm getting the mug, the t-shirt, hoodie and something else, stickers, and then I just like ran out with it. Because like I'm a wee fanboy of the place too. So
of course.
I'm doing some spot. I have no idea how long I'm doing, who else is on, but just to be like in that building is...
It's cool. I would love to visit it someday, like for sure. I'd love to go to a Kill Tony show there someday. I don't know if you're a fan of that show, but
absolutely.
I am a massive.
We're doing a rip-off event next month in Belfast.
No way. When is it?
Kill Toddy in the black box. We're going to do the black box.
Mate, you have to get me
as a Patreon event. You come down.
Oh, I want to watch that so bad. What date?
I don't know. It's in April. Sorry, April.
It's in April.
Yes.
I'm away up at April.
Anyway, we'll figure it out.
Let me know. Yeah. I would love to. Oh, mate, that's fantastic.
That'll be fun.
But here, you're saying about, you know, walking into like different green rooms across the States, and some places are like cliquey, and then you go into the Mecca and it's
anywhere,
not
just States, anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. Yeah. And now I don't know. I've never been in a green room here, but I could only imagine it's not really like that. Like I find like good thing about coming from here is like people don't take themselves too seriously.
Yeah.
But it's something I actually wanted to ask you about is just generally the comedy scene here in NI, because it's absolutely blown up. It's massive. Like it's not even comparable to the South, like in my opinion anyway. Like I'm sure you
for the size of it.
For the size of it, it's there's no question. You see the amount of like successful podcasts that are coming out of here now. Yours, I mean, obviously Bomb Squad's doing very well, and they're like transcending just here, which is like a new thing, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm so fascinated by actually the schedule that you have and how much you are doing.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to think, oh, you know, he does his podcast, whatever, once or twice a week. But you're actually doing way more than that. You're doing Patreon episodes. You're doing events then. You're doing live podcasts. Then you're doing live, like, arena shows. Like, this is one thing that I realized because I went to your Full House in the SSE, which you sold out twice, right?
The second one was the venue was a smaller configuration, but
which is like
how many
half hall. How many people is that?
I think roughly the first night was like 10,000. Second night was 6.5.
I mean, that's such a it's amazing to see that.
Yeah.
But it's also like an indication of just how well the comedy scene is doing here.
Yeah.
And I think obviously likes of you, the likes of Colin, the likes of these guys have grown that scene so well. So it's a really interesting thing to see. But as I say, like I find it fascinating the schedule that you have. Like if you were, because you're doing live tea with me as well. Yep. But then you're doing like, you know, a Patreon exclusive. Could you give me like a lowdown as to how many events you done in 2024? Because I think it'd give the viewers like an indication of how like much this scene is growing here. Because it's all good, you can put the events on, but you're selling out huge venues. There's a demand for it here.
Yeah,
of course. Like we love the crack here.
You're talking like a live tour might be 30, 35 shows. Then I'm gonna maybe do like half a dozen work in progress shows, which is testing it out to see if it's good. Then we maybe did 2 live podcasts last year, 2 or 3 live Patreon events, where we'll maybe take like a TV show and parody it or something like that in front of a live audience.
But they're big production shows, like they're huge. They're huge. Like what all do you do? You done comedian Stars in Your Eyes?
We've done Stars in Your Eyes, boxing, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire.
Unbelievable.
Stars in Your Eyes we've done twice. Then we'll do like silly things, like me and Kieran Bartlett had a tennis match and got like an official like referee down. I said to Kieran,
where did you do that at?
Sea Park in Hollywood. I went, you will not take 1 point off me, and for every point you take, I'll get, I think it was a tenner to charity. 120 quid.
What?
Fuming. Yeah, he got
Kieran.
me. He got me.
How?
He's deceptive. He's deceptively
I
good
believe
at
that,
tennis.
you know.
He's nimble, like there's something about him. He's a wee bit dainty.
He's light on the toes.
Dave
like.
Elliott's like that as well.
Really?
Yeah, he's like got a wee...
I don't know Dave too well, but I know Kieran definitely has some tricks up his sleeves.
He
like,
does.
Like a man could do the splits, like
dark arts, like
dark arts.
Yeah.
Like Hollywood dojo splits, like 100%.
So but then I'm in the clubs as much as possible too, because there's comedians who will just like tour. That's what they want to do, and understand that because they have other stuff going on. Maybe they're actors too, or they're radio, whatever it is. But I need to like be trying new material too at the same time, and just be around in the environment of comedy clubs, because I think that's how you look at like the biggest comedians in the world. People always say the phrase like, "Oh, like he's lost touch or he's not relevant to that kind of thing." I think that's because they're only like doing giant arenas. They're not in comedy clubs and getting that like intimate side of stand up as well. So I'll do like Lavery's as much as possible. Not that now that I'm touring, it's so difficult to do that. But as soon as the tour's over, try and get as many spots as I can there. All other comedy clubs, go up to Derry, do the clubs there, whatever. So I'll try to gig like as much as possible while balancing a home life too. Like.
Yeah.
But I like when I'm in America, I have a couple of days off. But if I have a 6 o'clock show or something, I'll try and find the nearest club that night
to get a spot
to go do 7 minutes there as well, or before my show. Can I go somewhere? Yeah, because the more, just obviously, like the more it's more like you put in the gym, you know, and training. Like the more you can do it, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, there definitely is like some sort of similarities in like coming up as like a fighter and a comic.
I think that's why we all get on so well. There's kind of understand each other
big time, and we're all kind of like in a way outcasts as well, because a lot of like. Obviously, comedians, a lot of them are outcast, but fighters, you go in an MMA gym, you just find a bunch of lunatics, like, you know. So I think we definitely get on in that regard. And then, as you say about like the work, like that's why I'm fascinated by the schedule that you have, like, because the work that goes into that is like unbelievable. But then there's no surprise then that you are building like a big scene here, but it's been like, as you say, a decade of podcasting. It's like, how long stand up? Probably longer. Like,
well, I've been doing stand up for like 18 years.
18 years, like
when people find out about you, they assume that from that second they found out about you, you've just started. So people will just think like, you know, be like, oh, this is all like, you know, you're having great success, maybe whatever. It's kind of come out of nowhere. And you're like, there's been nearly 2 decades of work. I would never get offended and be like, no, I've been doing this for, it doesn't bother me. I just mean, it's definitely not an overnight success thing. Like, it's been a long,
no question,
journey. And you can go back to, you can lose that success quickly. That's why I keep like gigging as much as possible. And it's funny, like I don't know if we've talked about it before, but comedians, me included, will sometimes complain about workload. Or you'll be like, God, I'm on tour. I know there's way more to it, but you're on for an hour. You're talking for an hour. Yeah. But you can still get burnt out, but it's a bit rich when we complain about it. Yeah. But I'll have mates who'll go, oh, fuck's sake, I'm gigging 5 nights this week. Well, that's what you want.
What are you doing the rest of
the time? This is the job, but this is what you want to do.
Yeah.
Don't complain about having work.
Yeah.
Or like, I've got to do this, and I'm filming this during the day, and then I've got this at night. Good.
Do you find, so like people who'll talk like that, do you find you definitely would have seen this throughout your time doing this now? comics that are like have all the potential in the world, but they just don't work hard enough. Is that a thing in comedy?
Nothing does my head in more.
I
try and
yes or no.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, okay.
100%.
Because it's like a fighter.
Did you think I was like nothing does my head in more than people?
Because I didn't know the answer. Maybe some people just jump on the stage and they're just naturally just got it. Like
there are people like that, but
they don't get to them heights.
I try and like have, if I'm doing like say a run at the Opera House or something, I'll try and like mix up the openers as much as possible to get people in to, come and play in front of this kind of crowd and see what you think of it. And the idea is now that's benefiting me because it's getting the room warmed up, so that's good for me. So it's not a totally selfless thing, but it should hopefully make that act go, fuck that. I could be doing this myself someday.
Yeah.
So some people are like Willie T is the man. Like Willie comes on, does a lot of tour support, but he has one eye on then coming back to that city or that venue himself, which is what I want him to do.
Yeah, as you should. Yeah.
I want next year to say to him, can you come and do the tour? And he's like, I can't. I'm doing my own kind of. That's the goal.
Yeah,
for both of us.
Yeah.
But sometimes you'll bring someone along, and they'll kill it. Or they'll do a couple of shows and they'll kill it, and you're going like, this is great. Let's keep the progress going, and they just can't.
No, is it just a consistency thing?
It's consistency, and sometimes it's desire. Like you got to realize people don't have the desire that you have, and you almost can't blame them for that. But sometimes I do, and that's unfair that I do that.
Yeah.
I want to shake them and be like, you should be like, living and breathing this. Yeah. And some people just don't want that. Some people want to do it as a hobby, and that is 100% fine. Yeah. But I forget that sometimes.
Yeah,
because that's just not the way I think. But
that's so funny. I'm the exact same with like fighters coming up and like amateurs or early pros, and like. You have like an idea of the blueprint. Like when you get there a bit higher and like in the field, you realize, okay, it's possible. Yeah. Like you just need to commit to it.
Yeah.
And you see these people with probably more natural potential than yourself, and you're just fucking wise up.
Yes. You see,
and you're like, come on here.
If I was this good, this far into it as you are, I would have been buzzing.
I know,
because I'm not. 2 years in, I wasn't as good as you. So but you can't keep pushing someone to do it.
That's how it goes, though, isn't it? It's any field. It's any field.
Some people just want to do it as a hobby, and what a cool hobby to have, stand up or maybe fighting,
Yeah.
But it's hard to just understand that those people aren't you, don't think like you.
Yeah, for sure. We are proudly sponsored by That Prize Guy, the #1 prize competition in all of UK and Ireland. They've given away over 130 million in prizes so far. That Prize Guy has made 8 millionaires already, with number 9 pending. For your chance to be a winner, head on over to thatprizeguy.co.uk. So here, let me take you back to when you were starting. You said 18 years ago. So I'm fascinated to know, like, first of all, what the scene was like there. But then my follow-up to that will be like whenever you started posting videos for the first time. So talk to me first of all about what the comedy scene was here in NI, if at all. Like, how did you get into how do you go about it? Do you just find an open mic? Is that it?
Yeah,
that's the entry.
I would say there was a scene because there was gigs, but it was nowhere near the scale that it is now, and I don't think a big group of us comedians built the scene. I think it naturally kind of sprang up. People got more into stand up, and we kind of got lucky a bit. But I've never been a promoter. The promoters are the people who really build the scene, because they go, I'm putting on this club every month and I'm going to build it up, and then we can drop in and do it. There's a bit of both, but promoters never get credit.
Yeah, they're taking a bit more financial risk, but I mean, at the end of the day,
and they're doing the admin and the hard work.
You're the fighter, you're the performer.
Yeah. But it was easier because people were willing to do that side of it, so then we could drop in and do the gigs, and people were coming to the gigs. So it was a big.
So where would you have went? Like back in the day, where could you have went?
So I didn't know what to do, because there wasn't any really, bar the Empire and Queen's Student Union. There was no real regular gigs that I knew of. I knew stuff was popping up, but this is maybe pre-Facebook. Facebook was maybe just a thing. Nowadays, you could just type into any social media, Belfast comedy or comedy nights, you'll get a list.
Yeah.
So I remember telling people in my tech class, because we did like filmmaking, we did like behind the scenes stuff. But I I don't have it in me to learn how to operate this camera. I don't have the attention span or the desire to know that, but I knew I wanted to be around this.
Yeah.
So I would be like, I'll be in it. You know, so if we were to make a, you know, they're saying film a short film, I go, brilliant, I have an idea for the short film and I'll be in it.
So what was it you studied in tech?
Media, moving image and production.
Okay.
And I did none of it. I
you
just
done
got
the
away. I just bluffed. I just did the acting.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe editing. I do like editing. I'm basic at it, but I like it. And I had told some guys in my class that I'd love to try stand up someday. Started talking about like something I've always wanted to do, and then there was a point where they were asking me, you know, when are you going to do this, you know, and I don't know.
Shit.
And then there was exactly like where's your balls basically. So I think there was like a day where we were sitting in tech at a computer.
Was this Belfast or
Belfast Met, which is
Millfield or
Millfield.
I went there as well. Actually.
It changed my life going there. I hated school. Part of like I'm not academic at all, and went to the wrong school for me, and just struggled. Like so when I went to Belfast Met, it was incredible.
Perfect,
So you just wearing your own clothes. And
Yeah.
I went to an all boys school, so even just being around
shit.
girls,
Yeah, that'd be shit.
it was brilliant. So so I looked up these comedy nights, and basically there's a load of pressure of like you got to do this. You said you're going to do it. You got to do it. So it was Black Box, the small room in Black Box, and I went down to do
What age were you?
10 minutes. Pretty sure maybe just turned 18.
Okay. Oh, so
Or it was in between being 17 and 18, so something there. But I was very, I wasn't very confident in like my own skin. I was a confident person, but I just had no idea like who or what I was. You know, at that age, I was a bit of a chameleon in terms of like, if I was going to do stand-up, it would be mimicking kind of comedians I liked and taking style. I didn't know what I wanted to say. I only probably in my late 20s found what I wanted to talk about or say. But I was like, I really want to do this. But now you can DM a comedian, a local comedian, and most of the time you might get a reply of like, I'm doing a gig, I'm nervous. Give you a couple of points, maybe. Maybe not. But like, I didn't know what to do. So I prepared a script, like word for word, and I tried to learn it, but I had no experience of learning, and I have a short attention span.
Yeah.
So I got up, and when I was 18, I looked 14, 15, maybe. I looked like a kid. And I got up, and a couple of boys from my class came to watch. And
that was probably worse. Would have been had to be worse.
It was. I would always advise against it. That's the number one thing. When people DM me and go and do my first gig, I don't bring any friends. Because
don't
the thing
bring
is,
anybody you know.
Your friends watch, and your friends think you're hilarious. Your friends are like, it's like you're Eddie Murphy doing a Def Jam set. Your friends are losing their minds.
Everyone thinks they're funny, and their mates are like, I could probably do stand-up comedy.
And then you go to do it next week without them, and people are like, what is this shit? You know? You're like, but my friends loved it.
They think I'm hilarious.
When I was telling stories about them, they loved it. So I immediately forgot where I was in my script, got muddled up on what I was saying, and then I just kind of, with my head down, like riffed on how badly the set was going. And I remember I had a pair of Adidas high tops on, and I replaced the laces. The laces broke the day before the gig, and the only spur laces I had were purple laces. So I put purple laces into these shoes, and I remember just looking down and going, why do I have purple laces? And it was like, it wasn't killing.
No, that's
but they
good.
were laughing at the improvisation, and I remember going, maybe I could do this again, because I've made them laugh, but it wasn't intentional. Like,
did that feel good after? Were you like, at least they laughed a wee bit?
I think I was proud of myself after, but then there was a feeling of like, will I ever do this again? It was months before I did stand up again.
Serious?
Yeah, but because I had nothing lined up, you know,
Yeah,
I was hesitant, and then when I did it the second time, it went really well. But it went too well, because first time I did it, not great. Second time was great. And I thought like, oh, I'm firing now. But that was just a bit of a false dawn, and then it took years to get in any way good.
So when you're in your second set, did you prepare something as well, or was it
second
more...
set different material? I was like,
so
what I was going to do was going to work
but it
anyway.
wasn't a script. It wasn't like
and I was looser on. I knew roughly what I wanted to say, but I didn't practice it word for word.
Do you remember what the bit was?
I remember I had a bit. Now it wasn't funny at the time, and now when I tell it, 18 years later, it's going to be less funny. It was an observation about how bus drivers, when they pass each other in Belfast, waved at each other. So I'd be like, the Metro bus drivers had a wee wave, they would do to each other. The Ulster bus drivers had a wave, and it was about when the Ulster bus drivers passed the Metro bus drivers. So it was
Gang
just it
signs.
was subtle stuff about that, and I knew there was like something in it, and I could probably work with that now, but back then I didn't know what I was talking about. And I was talking a little bit about I was doing a bit of topical stuff as well, so whatever kind of was in the news, but people for a long time I got away with a lot because I looked so young.
Yeah.
Got away
So
with
you're
it.
just taking into yourself, basically.
Yeah.
And people like that.
Yeah.
Mate,
What was the
that's-
second part of your question?
that was...
We don't know.
We don't know, but I was going to say... Oh, mate, there's a bus driver. I don't know if it's one guy or if it's maybe more than one, but multiple times I've been in Belfast in the street and this bus driver's rolled down the window and like, let's go, champ, let's keep going. Like, just like motivational speeches out the window. I don't know if it's the same guy, but every time that he does it, I think it's happened to me like genuinely 4 or 5 times
Does it
in
give
the
you a
last
wee
year.
buzz?
Mate, there's no more time where I felt like I've made it.
Yeah.
Then a bus driver just rolling down the window, like
Yeah.
full bus full of people. Like,
Glider crashing every time.
mate, there's a full bus of people, and he's just rolling the window down.
5
going,
car pileup.
Let's go, Hughesy! And I'm like, this is unbelievable.
It'd be funny if I was in Belfast with you, that happened. You were like, there he is. He
There's your
just
man.
shouted, and I was like, mate, no one shouted anything. It's just all in your head. This guy's just in your head.
Paul, whoa, that's a sign of a huge ego. Do you think people say your name all the time?
There is nothing worse than when the workman's van slows down and the window goes down. You go, this isn't going to be good. And when they say something even remotely nice, you're like, thank God. Because I was at Spar recently, and then a load of lads called me over, and there's like 4 of them in the van, and they're whatever's coming, they're buzzing for it. And a guy calls me over, and I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. I'm like getting ready. I'm like getting G'd up for whatever he's going to say to me. And then the guy goes, mate, we love it. Get a photo with him. And then I walked away, and I was like, thinking, I felt like going, do you want to say anything bad to me or anything? But it was just like a nice experience, you know.
A work van with a bunch of lads in it and the window going down is definitely, you know,
What
there's
about the guy outside you? He loved you.
I
I just want to say, man, well done, respect.
Yeah, that was.
And I kind of waiting behind you, like, all good, no?
You
No
put out
worries.
your hand on your man, just walked
he just
past, and you were
walked
like, oh.
Yeah.
That was fucking great. Oh, what was the second part of my question? Do you know what it was? Or what I wanted to ask you about as well is
Bicep exercises?
What?
Bicep exercise?
I absolutely, yeah, exactly.
Keep your elbow
that
back.
double
Keep
punch
your
you were
elbow
telling me
tucked
about.
back.
Elbow tuck back.
Yes.
What was the other one? The double punch body, the chest and the body at the same time?
See,
Or the chest and the head at the
see,
same time?
genuinely, right?
What?
Outside of the box technique ideas,
Uh-huh.
yous are built for like, you know, he's going to punch like this because you're all like elite strikers and
Yeah.
stuff. But it just takes one guy to do it a bit weird. Like when Leicester played 3-5-2,
Aye.
they won the Premier League.
So that's what I need to do then. Think about 3-5-2.
Think about
something
something a wee
different.
bit different. Teams are
What
like,
was
no
the
one
other
does this
thing? You
anymore.
had another one for me.
Right.
It was like a wind up right hand or something.
You wind up now. If I was doing it in the comedian's boxing, you'd wind it up in a big exaggerated way. You just ever so slightly flinch the right and go to bring it back. And as you're doing that, we jab the left.
Which is
But then crucially, throw the right after. So he goes,
just bink, bink,
he's
bink.
just done me with a wee cheek. He go like this. He rolls his eyes. Boom. Be the last time he rolls his eyes. He rolls his head.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I'm training that for the rematch actually for Usman. But that's what it was. So you were saying about the people when rolling down the window and these sorts of guys. Do people ever approach you as one of your characters that you've done? Does that ever happen to you?
Not as much anymore, but back in the day when I was more known for the character stuff.
Because
than stand-up.
that's where I first heard of you was through Mike McGoldrick,
Yeah.
which is for listeners that don't know, say you're in the US or whatever. Like there's an area here in Belfast. It's called the Holy Lands. It's where a lot of students live, but it's an absolute fucking shithole. It's like the worst accommodation probably in Ireland, UK for students to live. It's so bad. Yep. And Shane had a character which is essentially a posh kid that will go down there and just be like absolutely shitting on how disgusting it is.
Yeah.
That's where I first heard of you was Mike McGoldrick.
And it was tied into rugby locally as kind of a sport, and I kind of got known to a lot of people, like you're saying, from that. So, but there was a lot of people who thought it was real.
Just thought that's what
we
I
went
mean.
we went to me and my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, went to Phoenix Park in Dublin years ago to see Kanye. Shit, by the way.
Oh really?
Pharrell was doing warm up. We were like, that's brilliant. I like Pharrell. Pharrell kills it. He's knocking it out of the park. He has a new album out. I go, he's probably just going to do the new album. Does a couple of songs from him, all the hits. And then he goes, do you just want a big hip hop medley? We're like, yeah. He just does. He's doing Nelly Hutton here. And I was like, that's not even a song. He's brilliant. Kanye comes on. Awful gig. He didn't want to know.
Sick.
He didn't want to know. But as we were walking in, going through security, a drunk girl came up to me and said, Mike McGoldrick. And I said,
no.
sometimes, yeah. And she went, what is it? And I went, oh, it's just sometimes, yeah, but, you know, not today sort of thing.
And you're
but
standing with your wife, like...
No, she's waiting to come through. The women's security line is longer, right? So I'm just standing there.
Okay.
And she goes, what way you mean? What way are you getting on? And I went, no, I just mean, like, I am Mike McGoldrick some of the time. And she went,
what?
And I said, but it is just it's a character that I do.
Uh-huh.
And I thought she was joking. And she went, you fucking... And then her mates came over and she was talking to her mates and her mate she went, she's raging, like, and she was angry.
Why?
And I went, what's wrong? And she went, she thought Mike McGoldrick was real. And I was like, that's not my fault. That's not my fault. I'm apologising. So yeah, sometimes people would think it was a real thing.
Mate, that's
but, like,
some crack.
People, you were asking about the first time I was putting videos out.
Aye.
Maybe on like sketches and videos.
That was my other follow-up question.
Do you mean, was there like, were you getting trolled?
So what I wanted to know was, obviously you're starting your comedy, you're 18 a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
When do you start putting out videos? And how fucking nerve-wracking was that? Doing that here in the north? Like,
Not at all.
What?
Because
mate,
it's not like it is now.
I remember I put up the first like selfie video I done on like Instagram like many moons ago, like on my Gary V hype, like content.
Yes.
And I'm like, I take about 20 videos. And I'm like, I look like such a retard in that.
Do you ever go through your camera roll and see like the same image 20 times when you tried to do the video 20 times?
Oh, mate. So how was that for you whenever you started posting videos?
But it wasn't nerve-wracking because you assumed nobody was going to see it. Because it was,
okay.
Like we're talking 18 years ago. It's not like now where you put it up and people share it, tag their friends. Repost wasn't a thing. So there was no expectations for it. I didn't expect anyone really to see it. Or if I was posting the Mike McGoldrick video who was based on somebody from, like a typical person from the posh sort of side of Hollywood, I'm expecting people only in my town to see it. So I'm not thinking it's going to travel anywhere. So it was way... And there was like... The trolling wasn't awful. I don't remember trolling back then being particularly bad.
Do you think it's a new thing, like really excessive troll?
It's just easier for people to see it and then also like comment on it, and then the comments getting likes, pushes things like that up. But
there's an incentive for people to just
I'll be honest. I think I get it. I do think I get away light. You obviously will get it no matter what you put up. Relatively speaking, I think I get away light, and also it's easier for me because I started so young and I wouldn't have had like a lot of confidence then. So if I did the odd bad comment then would have like got me down a bit.
Really? Yeah.
Not massively because I can't remember it too much, but I know it would have been like, oh, that's a shame. So because I had had years of that and posting content, by the time we started talking about actually trolling and that sort of thing, I'd been exposed to it for years.
Yeah.
So like people, you see, I feel like, man, like guys will come on to do a video about how they don't get upset by trolling, and you're like, me, there's tears in your eyes, like, man, see these trolls, keep doing it, keep doing what you're doing. I love it. You don't love it, mate. I am just
clearly so triggered.
Yeah, I am just indifferent to it. It's not.
Yeah. That's the best way to be.
Yeah, you got to expect it.
Comes with
it's weird to me when people are surprised by it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, if we're putting this stuff out and we want people to like it, you have to also assume that people aren't going to like it.
Yeah.
So like,
100%. Like I love seeing you clap back to people.
I don't do it as
shit.
much anymore,
mate. It's so funny. Do you know who's very good at doing it? Is Prize Guy as well. But it's like, if you do it in the right way, it's just so funny.
I've heard Paul Price Guy.
No,
he doesn't even clap back. He buys the person's house and then evicts them from it. I've actually heard that's what he's doing.
I actually heard that as well.
He's like, you have 6 hours to leave your house. I own it.
He buys their wife a Porsche and goes, here, there's that Porsche down the driveway there.
Did I tell you about the guy? Have I told you? Tell me if I have. The guy with the cross eyes?
No.
Troll me. I put a video out once. And it was like, it wasn't political. It wasn't anything bad in the video. And some guy just wrote under it, this fella needs shot.
Oh my God.
I'm talking about the spar or something in it, about sausage rolls. And this guy's like, this fella needs shot. So I look at his. I don't take that literally, but I look at his profile on Facebook, and he's now. I have a lazy eye. This fella's. Yeah.
I never even noticed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This guy has properly cross-eyed, and I can only see his profile picture. That's it, and he's cross-eyed. So I screenshot his profile picture, and then I leave a comment under his comment, and put the picture of his profile picture in, and I said, "As long as you're the guy shooting, I'll be all right."
Oh, man, that is an absolute
He deleted it, and then he sent me a message. And then he sent me a message.
A violation.
He sent me a message and said that's out of order. From the guy who wanted to murder me.
No way.
I'm like, look at your eyes. He's like, whoa. That's too far. Mental. That's real. That's real. That's real life.
That is a violation if I've ever heard of violation.
That's happened before. Someone will say something, you come back to them, and then they delete their original comment.
You've got to have more stories like this. You've got to have more like that, do you?
There's so...
Give me one more. This is brilliant.
Right, this... So there was a
guy. I see Roscoe laughing like fuck behind the camera there, trying to hold it in. It's all right. You don't have to hold it in.
There was a guy. There was a guy who was trolling the Mike McGoldrick stuff back in the day, and I could remember his face because he was a wee smug looking guy, and I could always picture his face. And he said something, and he was always going personal. And then I saw his profile picture, and he had like sweep back hair. Like comb back, and it was really wet and really shiny. And I said, he was writing stuff like dickhead and cringe or whatever it was. And I replied and said, why are you, I put his profile picture in, and I said, why are you the only guy still buys his hair gel from the chemist? Like, I said 3 liters at a time. You know that like wet look putty gel? Yeah. And he deleted it. And I was like, you can't now get angry that I've made a joke. A couple of weeks later, I was filming something, and they needed extras, and this guy showed up.
No way.
And I said to the producer, by chance, he didn't know I was involved.
What is he even doing, being an extra on your show?
It was something I was in. It wasn't my thing specifically. I was just in it, and he didn't know I was in it.
Okay.
So I said to the producer, I was like, isn't that funny? I was just like talking to this guy, talking about his wet look gel.
Did he have the hair slicked back
I kept calling him wet look, right? And he hated it. And
what's he gonna do? Like, you calling him wet look?
The guy goes, the producer went, do you want to fuck with him a bit? And I was like, yeah, like how? And he goes, well, look, it's like a 9 to 5 filming day. And the extras were and I've done extra stuff before. It's a lot of sitting about. He goes, I could just not use him, but keep him here all day. And I was like, yeah. And he goes, I'll just tell him to wait. And he still get paid, like, I guess 50 quid for the day or something. He goes, I'll just make him wait in the same spot. And I never acknowledged that I knew who he was.
Oh man!
But I just kept walking past and smiling at him because all day I'm like filming a scene, then I'm going for lunch, and then he's just sitting there the whole time. Oh, it was brilliant. I loved that. Mate, petty, like, but I loved it.
Oh, it's so petty, but that's the ultimate like payback. Is that just making him sit? So funny.
Yeah.
We interrupt this episode to tell you about our amazing sponsor, the Record Room Hillsborough, where we are right now. The Record Room comes with all the equipment you need with multiple set options, whether you want to launch your own podcast or if your company needs to shoot its own marketing content. It is a one-stop shop for everything that you need. If this sounds like something that you need, use the booking link in the description, let yourself in, and hit record. So here, back to the characters then. Have you done any characters recently? Like, are you still shooting? Are you still are you just too busy to do it, or what's your kind of?
I wouldn't say I'm too busy. I would say I have the intention to do it.
Yeah.
And then just something else comes up or another idea, and
I think it's something it's obviously very entertaining, but it's also something that a lot of people can't do. It's different characters, and I think some of your characters are hilarious. The guy, what do you call the football coach again?
Keith Cruz.
Keith
that's my
Cruz
favorite.
Is his wee soccer school for the kids.
That's my favorite,
and even the wee girls
to do because I love.
It's
football.
Unbelievable. You could do a TV show out of that, no problem.
I will, like, people be like, oh, you don't do that anymore. I do, and I'm not like I don't do it anymore. I almost forget. I'll go, the Champions League finals coming up, and maybe do something, and then I literally just forget to do it because I'm doing other stuff. But I will, and I should, and I love film and all that kind of stuff. So I will do something.
I was actually gonna say, could you not pitch that to like BBC or somebody local? But then you've done you have
We've done
recently
sketch shows.
had a show just out there on the
Yeah.
BBC, right?
Yeah, so
What was the
sketch
name
show,
of it again?
Chancers.
Chancers, and it's on iPlayer
Yeah.
on BBC.
Yeah.
There you are. If
So,
anybody wants to check it out.
Cool thing about that is we got to
I
make
love the
it
name too.
completely
Chancers, great.
ourselves.
It was so who produced it?
Us.
Oh,
me,
no way.
Me, Niall Fagan, and Kieran Bartlett.
Mate, unbelievable.
We kind of just did it ourselves. Niall filmed, edited everything. And me and Kieran just got to put these sketches, write these sketches. So very collaborative kind of thing. Now, normally you would have like a full production team doing this, like maybe a dozen people, but Niall was just doing it.
So how does that
so
work?
we got full freedom.
Do you like approach one of these broadcasters and say, look, we have this idea for a sketch. Will you fund it? Or do they essentially come to you and say, we want this? Like, was that you come to them?
It can be either. This was the first time I've had them approach us.
Okay, about a sketch show?
Yeah, because we sort of put it out there as almost a pilot. We made some like high-end production-wise sketches in the hope that we would get a broadcaster to approach us, because then it's more do stuff, even existing stuff you have. Say my Keith Cruise thing, I would maybe be hesitant to do that because I would only want to do that the way I want to do it, and that's not out of ego or pride or anything. It's more just I go, well, that has worked up until now. Sometimes you can get a broadcaster or a production company and they have a totally different vision for it, and it can kind of wreck it.
Yeah.
So BBC approached us this time and we're like, we like what you're doing. Would you want to make more of them? And we had sort of said, if we can keep doing this the way we want to, then yes. And that was their condition too. They were like, no, we only want you to do it the way you've been doing it. So it was great, like complete creative freedom, like 99%.
I love that.
Creative freedom.
Would you have ever expected to do something like that whenever you're coming up?
Because the way we shoot a sketch, like we go shoot something now and it might take us an hour to film it. Yeah. And then I can take the footage home on a hard drive. Maybe I edit or you edit. And then I can just put it up tonight. So I control all of it. Whereas if we film something for BBC or Channel 4 or ITV or whatever, you maybe you get to write a bit, they give notes back, which I understand, and then you film it, and then you go home and they can cut it whatever way they think it should be cut.
Okay.
And
which would probably lose a bit of the soul of it at times as well if it's not the way that you want it.
It's going to have a different influence on it. And I would do that still, but for this and for making sketches, we just want to do it like our way.
Yeah.
And it was fun. But the character stuff, I always mean to do more of, and I will. Actually, now you've said it, I'm like, I definitely should.
Keith Cruise is a soccer skill for the kids and the wee girls too.
I had an idea where I wanted to do like if I say this, maybe then I'll have to do it. I wanted to do like a Keith Cruise mockumentary, like like the Wrexham thing. Like Ryan Reynolds.
Mate.
So like
stop. I'll invest.
So like an amateur, taking an amateur league club here.
Oh mate, that's unbelievable.
And trying to get them to the big time.
So how would that work? How could you go about that? Would you just need like a budget or a sponsor, or how would that work?
What I would do now with recent experiences is I would do one filming day, shoot it without money from any
just yourself.
No big production company, because then you're kind of in business with them.
Yeah.
Shoot it the way you want, because it used to be you would write a script and submit it, but when someone's written down, say if you and I had a argument or a heated conversation, any kind of conversation on WhatsApp, you don't understand my tone, I don't understand yours.
Yeah.
Because it's text. Whereas if we go and film something and I show you it and I say, this is what I'm thinking, you can still go, maybe we'll do it like this, maybe we'll do it like that, but you have the initial idea of what I want. So I would film a day like that.
Yes. Just
even like walking around the facilities of a club, and that could actually be really good.
So good.
That could actually be really good.
Cruise,
because Lauren have obviously had that. I don't know if you follow Irish League football, but they've obviously had a multi-millionaire investor come in, and they're going from the second tier of Irish League football to being in the European group stages, which is, I don't even think people are taking it in at the minute. Like years down the line, you'll go, that was absolutely insane.
Really? So they won the Irish League last year, right?
Yeah. And then I went to play. They were playing against some big European teams, and that's a small town. So I think there might be a way to doing something like that could be a lot of fun.
Do it. It's out there.
I will.
You have to do it.
I mean it. I will.
Yeah. Well, here, speaking of football, you have a charity football match coming up in association with that prize guy. Well,
you can't.
What date is it again?
You can. It's like the 24th of May.
Of May. Count me in.
You play?
Count me in.
Yeah.
It's on here. It's on the
What
pod.
position you play?
I started as like a wee fast forward as when I used to play football for Ballymena.
Did you?
Aye, for years, yeah.
Until what age?
Until maybe 15.
Serious?
I've played Gaelic and all at the same time, but
Yeah.
I played since I was 10. I played really high level soccer. And then, but as I got older, a bit more like tough, a bit more of a dog, centre mid, playmaker, El Capitan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So count me in.
Okay.
At least consider me.
No, you're in.
Oh, okay,
You're
I'm
in.
in.
You're starting.
So here,
It might be me.
starting.
It might be me and you in centre midfield, like Gattuso and Pirlo. That'd be unreal.
100%. The image for this episode is me and you and Gattuso and Pirlo's faces. Tell me the crack with this. What's the whole idea behind the game?
So I played in these games for years, like charity football. I'm like football is like my
That's
passion.
your thing. Yeah.
Watching, playing, all that sort of thing, and I've had the opportunity to play in like class charity games. We played in some select thing against Linfield Legends years ago, and I loved it. And after the game, some of the Linfield boys were like, "Do you want to come play for us in a game against Korean Legends next month?" I was like, "Yeah." So I was just playing for Linfield. I obviously never played for Linfield in my life, but I was playing like with their Legends team up in the Korean showgrounds. I live for that.
That's
like, it's
some
brilliant.
crack. That's some
Then
crack.
I played for Newry City against Liverpool.
Legends.
And that was incredible. Again, up in Newry showgrounds, hundreds of people there, and it was the best.
That'd
Brilliant.
be such an experience.
And then I played for TAMI, which is a mental health sport charity. Tackling mental health through sport. They did a game, Man United Legends, against a couple of charity teams, and it was at Seaview 2 years ago, I think, and it was one of the best days of my life. It was like, because I'm a Man United fan, and it was the players I'd grown up watching.
Yeah. So who you always playing?
It was you had Brian. Now that I'm a bit older, like, so you had like Brian McClare, Yap Stam, Karol Poborski, Paul Parker, who else was playing? Wes Brown, couple more, and it was so good. So the charity had like 3 teams. They're like, we want to do 30-minute games, and they're like, you playing the second one? I was like, I'm playing all of them. So I just changed kits 3 times, and I loved it. And I brought Calvin down, my mate, down to film, and I was like, if I score, like, I just want this on film.
Mate.
And then I scored 10 minutes in, and I remember
celebrating. What was it, like a header? What was it?
So
kick.
Ball gets played in. I'm lively from the off. I'm lively.
Let's go. Tell me.
Right, so it's a wee battle between me and Paul Parker. He's about 80,
I love how you just
about 86.
readjusted your whole seat position.
He's about
Let me tell
86.
you everything.
Paul Parker. But I'm playing out wide, and I'm supplying a few boys, and then Timmy. So it's the team I'm playing in. Then is a Cliftonville Crusaders select 11. So Timmy Adamson gets a ball, goes round 1 or 2, very unselfishly. He hears the call, and he just rolls it in. I'm in the penalty area, and then it's me. Ball gets rolled, me, Yap Stam, and the keeper, and Big Yap sees me coming through, like a translating train, like a glider coming through.
Glider
coming straight for him, like. And what does a big man do? He goes, this kid's gonna smash it. So he sort of jumps.
Does he fuck this guy?
I got the footage.
My bollocks.
I got the
Man
footage.
United legend. He sees you and he flinches away.
Like, he's been there and done it, but he sees the hammer coming, like, and he sort of jumps and turns.
The Hollywood hammer.
What do I do? We deft finish into the corner. Do you know what I did? Stroked it in. Stroked it into the corner, and then I run off celebrating. I was telling everyone to calm down in my celebration.
Crowd was jumping over the wire.
I'm telling the crowd and the other players, relax. But then I look up at Calvin after to make sure he got it, and he gives me a thumbs up like he's got it, and I was like, my work here is done. Feet up, rest of the game.
Here, manager, give me a wee sub there.
What I did was I filmed the whole game, and then I edited like a 60 or 90 second like highlight reel, but I commented on it, like commentated on the whole thing, and then I released it and was like, who leaked this footage? You know, I was like, fuck's sake, someone's done me here by releasing this highlight reel.
Oh, freak's sake.
But there was reverse balls. There was dink passes to people.
Mate.
But I
When was that game?
That was, I wonder was that May, just past there.
Oh, so that was recent.
Yeah. So we're doing our own.
So tell me about your own then.
So the charity then said, do you want to put a team together and we'll do something similar?
What's the charity?
Tammy tackling.
I should definitely know this.
First words.
I actually see on your page. It's a long. It's
in a big abbreviation, but what they do is they're affiliated to the University of Ulster, and they tackle mental health through sport. Use sport to raise awareness for mental health. Really good charity, really good guys. So Mickey and like the team there said, would you want to do something like this yourself? And you sort of get the team together. 1,000%.
You were like, this is.
So then, chatting to Paul, prize guy, he said like, I'll come on board. And when he's coming on board, you know, it's going to be done right. It's going to be big. So I was like, yes, absolutely. And so we said like,
so you're going to be playing against like Ronaldinho or someone. He's going to play him.
I was like, why don't we just get like podcast guests, ex-podcast guests, and people like on the comedy scene, and we'll play against the Premier League 11 team. So we've got some really good names in the Premier League 11 team.
Give me some names.
We've got Wes Brown, Jermaine Pennant, Poborski, Yap Stam, round 2.
Again, oh,
round 2.
I'm gonna have to have a word with him before this game.
If it comes in
I'm
the
going to be in
same
your
way,
team, obviously.
Of course you are.
Yeah, I'm not a Premier League legend.
Unless you played the Premier League.
Premier League legend.
I'm going to have to hit it with a hammer because he's going to be expecting a wee deft quick finish from me.
Yeah,
so
I can soften them up a wee bit.
Getting the hammer.
Start of the game.
Yeah,
if you need. If we're doing centre mid, like
yeah,
that's what I'm there for.
I think me and you in centre mid.
That's what they used to say to me when I was playing soccer. They were like, "Do what you're doing that there, garlic football." I was like, "I Gaelic." They're like, "Get stuck in them." I know that's you'll be shouldering people and all. Get you stuck in.
Be red carded every game. Do you know who's a player? Sean McComb.
He's a good player.
Sean's really
that
good.
doesn't surprise me.
Sean out on the wing
doesn't surprise me.
I've got a team
Definitely
in mind. Got a formation in mind.
Give me an idea. Or maybe it's not, can't be out there in public.
Because I know Yap and the boys will be watching this.
Yeah.
This is bigger than the 99 Champions League final to him.
Yeah, no question.
He's thinking revenge, you know.
No question.
But I'll show you the highlight reel. It's pretty good, like.
I like to hear it. If we can, we'll get it up. Is it on your social media?
Don't put it up.
No.
I'll send it.
He's like, oh no, don't put
stick
it up.
It's on
my
pod.
Instagram.
If you want to stick it in the
2023
podcast,
there.
put it in. Will you buy new boots for it?
New boots? True, I haven't worn boots in a long time. Like,
get a class.
What? I was so I started off like a wee fancy boots kind of guy. I was like, as I said, you know, wee fancy forward, wee fast guy, wee bit of blonde tips. You know, the guy that a centre back just wants to fucking double leg.
Yeah.
You know, or double 2 foot challenge. Sorry, double legs MMA.
Just armbar this guy.
But then, as I say, got a wee bit older, got a wee bit tougher. Still small, but then I started wearing, what do you call them?
Blacked out. Cotton Mondials?
Cotton Mondials.
Yep.
That's the sort of guy I am.
I said that.
So should I get Cotton Mondials for this game?
Yes. Yeah. I said to Paul Price guy, he goes, "What if you could pick any boots? What would you have?" And I said, the original R9 98 World Cup boots. So these are like silver.
They're probably
blue,
like $5,000
more.
Actually,
but he goes, you know, if you give him any sort of challenge,
I know where he's
a way to do it.
He knows.
I was like, no, don't be. He's, you know, I know how much your cost. I'm like, no, please, Paul.
No, you can't get me them there just for that game.
He's working on it. I want a mad pair of boots for it.
Is he actually getting you them?
No, I don't know if we can get those. He did. I'm a size 11. He was like, if you had been an 8, I think it was. He's like, we could have got a pair.
On StockX, they're like $7,000 or something.
Honestly, there's something like that. But
that's crazy.
They're the best boots of all time, in my opinion.
Unreal.
And I'd never wear them for like a league game, but like for this, definitely.
If it's a big one.
Yeah.
Right. Well, you must send me them. I must have a look.
Okay.
But anyway, that is going to end our first episode
of
the
great,
podcast.
Thanks.
Hope you enjoyed it. Everybody,
I'm delighted you're doing this.
It's me. Why not, bro? If we're gonna do it, we're gonna do it right. There's so many people in this country I want to talk to, and then abroad. So maybe I should mention this on the pod. One of my whole ideas for this pod was, of course, number one, a lot of my audience is obviously local here, but a lot of it is like the US and things like that, and it's obviously mostly MMA orientated. My idea with this was to be a fully remote pod, so I have actually invested in all my own equipment. And anytime, I don't know if you've seen, but I do vlogs anywhere that I'm going, wherever I'm training, say it's Florida, I'm going to Vegas soon, wherever that is, Justin's usually always coming with me. So I thought, right, I can get the opportunity to speak to all these unbelievable athletes, like the Gilbert Burns, the Michael Chandlers, the Henry Hoofts, like all these people. So that is also, so everybody that's watching, you've got that to look forward to as
Get
well.
Big Ariel on as a guest because he's always
I
the
would love
interviewer.
to.
Get him on as the guest.
I would love to. Big time. Maybe you can come in with me.
Yes.
You could be like my agent on the side.
That'll sweeten the
I like
deal.
a wee-
He'll say to you, you go, I don't normally do like guest appearances. You go, Todd's on. You go, was he playing at Seaview last year? I saw that highlight.
Your man, fucking Yap Stan's greatest enemy. Oh my god. But anyway, episode 1 complete. Hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you at the next one. Obviously, as soon as I seen him, he's in the car park shadow box.
Can I show you this highlight reel?
He goes on to his notes. It's like the first thing. It's pinned at the top of his notes.